Today I'm here in Karlsruhe at the castle in the city center, and I want to do a small comparison between those two here, the Find X9 Ultra versus the Xperia 1 Mark 8, and especially, as you see already from me filming in 4K 60 frames per second, the video performance between those two. So let's get started. We start off with the front-facing camera of both here, 4K 60 frames per second on both, but only the Oppo features autofocus. The Sony sadly not, so it's not focusing at all there. Sony also has a much smaller and older sensor here, and on screen it looks a bit darker and duller, not so warm like the Oppo looks like, and it should be warm because the sun is setting behind me and it is a bit warm. Anyway, both have the ability to record 4K 60, but only the Oppo has the ability to switch to the back-facing cameras, and they can see me recording, and I have to stop now and then switch lenses and then go to 60 frames per second here as well. There we go, and then we can start recording again. 23 versus 23 millimeter, so which one has the better picture here? I think it's still a bit warmer there on the Oppo in comparison to what the Sony is doing. With the Sony, at least on screen, it looks a little bit better. Let's try to zoom in, and this is like a highest first of Sony. Let's go 2x here, smooth zoom, and here also smooth but very slow. 2.9 versus 3x. Which one is sharper? Which one is better? 5.8x versus 6x here. Very comparable, isn't it? And then we have 10x on the Oppo, where here I have to manually zoom in 10x. And now we have 10x. We have the dedicated sensor there on the Oppo, which helps tremendously. And of course then let's go to the ultra wide angle at the same time. 3, 2, 1. You see how fast the Oppo is doing, and Sony just arrived to the ultra wide angle. 60mm on the Sony, a bit narrower I think, or maybe the same. I think it's 40mm there on the Oppo. So which one is doing better here in your opinion? Very nice here, even like it's evening. See, very nice place here in Karlsruhe. If you come to Karlsruhe, then there's the city center if you go there. And when you come from the city center, from the Marktplatz, you can end up here at the castle where there is a museum going on. I think they're renovating it currently. That's maybe also interesting for a zoom test. Let's go directly to 10x, not to 10x, to 6x and 5.8x. Let's go. The Oppo is already there, the Sony now arrived as well. So which one has the better picture here? What do you think? This is probably the sensor that you use for vlogging, the 1x 23mm sensor on both. The Oppo has a bit of an advantage with its 1/1.1 2-inch sized sensor, but the Sony has a 1/1.3-inch sized sensor, so this is a little bit smaller, so we get nicer background blur definitely on the Oppo. But if it's too cropped down and you want a bit of more field of view, especially if you have a castle behind you, you can just go to the ultra wide angle as well, during recording 4K 60 of course. And now both are here with the ultra wide angle. Should be a bit wider there on the Oppo as well. And sensor wise, however, the Sony has an advantage with its larger sensor here, 1/1.56 inch, where we have 1/1.95 inch sensor there, almost 1.5 size sensor on the Oppo. So which one is performing better here for vlogging? Which one would you recommend for vlogging here? I think for the ultra wide angle alone, I would probably go with the Sony. If I need shallow depth of field, then the Oppo is definitely better. Also in terms of stabilization, I think Oppo might have a slight edge, but what do you think?